So I'd like to, first of all, introduce David from EOS42, one of the block producers here in London.
Hi guys again. This is Charles as well, co-founder.
Hi everyone.
Let me just get out of the way. So before we start this very quick segment talking through some introductions to block producers, I just wanted to say a couple of words on that. Right now we've got, I think, over 80 block producer candidates globally that have declared. And we've got around about 15 new block producer candidates a week. So as token holders and voters, that's a huge amount of information to try and digest about who is actually therefore somebody you're going to want to vote for or not. And for those not aware, EOS Go is an independent central organization that's formed and publishes out a weekly report for block producers and also has a portal where there's information on each of the different candidates as well, including some information around grading and trying to make it that little bit easier for token holders to form some views over the coming weeks and months. So with that in mind, we're just going to give a very, very quick overview of EOS42. Charles, this is the team. I'll maybe leave you to talk through the team.
You've met David. I am Charles. I'm the head of technology infrastructure. Then two of our other members is Liam Wu and Sean Kong. They couldn't join us today, but they are great team members. Liam is our head of community in China, and Sean is our head of community in Korea.
And just to add to the diversity, Sean also lives in Toronto and is networking pretty heavily with the Canadian community out there as well. So in terms of what our EOS42's values are, we've already pledged and published out probably the first or one of the first code of conducts for a block producer. The link's at the bottom and we will distribute out all the presentations. But we certainly pledge to abide by all arbitration decisions, something that's been covered in Ian and Eva's earlier presentation. We have also committed that we'll never pay for votes. We think that that's fundamentally bad for EOS. It incentivizes people to make decisions counter to voting for the best interests of the ecosystem. It becomes a financial decision instead. We will also assess costs, token pricing, and expected future network scaling requirements as well, and therefore always endeavor to keep our inflation commitment as low as possible. And otherwise, a pledge, of course, to act with honesty and integrity as well.
Cool. So just a little about our technology. I mean, I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but as you've heard before, as a blockchain stays up because block producers are producing blocks. So if we go down, we no longer produce blocks. And if too many block producers go down, the blockchain fails over. So we have built our infrastructure from the ground up to be fully resilient. And so worst case scenario, our entire infrastructure dies down. We have a complete copy somewhere else we can spin up basically straight away to take over. The other thing we're doing is we installing a enterprise level monitoring system. And the reason we do that is because, you know, no matter what, things are going to go wrong and you need to know about that. So from minor issues to major issues, we'll be alerted, and we have 3 guys spread across 3 different time zones, so we can cover ourselves 24/7. So if anything happens, you get alerted, and they are basically going to wake me up, and I have to fix the problem. The other thing we are trying to do is just, obviously the blockchain in itself is going to be secure, but as an individual block producers, I think it's very important we look at our own security. So what we plan on doing is getting a third-party independent security advisor to just look at our infrastructure every 6 months, every 12 months, but before June, we certainly can have them look at it. And we're also trying to be DDoS resilient. I've actually been a bit naughty, and I've attacked our own network with a DDoS just to see what solutions out there can actually provide resilience, and we think we've found that.
And the other big aspect that a lot of block producers will all have views on is around community support in different ways. The EOS London meetups are one of the areas we've been working hard to try and help and add value as we get nearer and nearer the launch. So holding the air as well. I see the 2-minute notice also already popping up there. Additionally, the other big one that we've kicked off is Shintai, which is the token leasing community program. The project is a peer-to-peer token leasing delegation marketplace. I will actually come and just do a very fast overview of that at the back end of this as well. So,
cool. So again, some more things we are doing. We're going to start a business incubator to help existing businesses move onto the blockchain. So whether that business runs on a blockchain or doesn't run on a blockchain, we will try and provide them with technical support and advice to just help that transition move on, which of course puts you in touch with EOS developers. So we try and create that match.
And the other one that we've also pledged is that we want to commit a fixed fee percentage of net profits towards charities globally. And in this particular case, our commitment is going to be third world blockchain education. So we actually have an advisor we brought onto our board of advisors who's specialising in that area, and we're really excited, therefore, to be able to make a positive difference with that as well. So the final thing I was just going to give a very quick update on was Shintai itself, because it's probably one of the first big EOS community projects out there that's started. And we published the white paper out in February, and since then the project has kicked off in March, and a core team has gradually formed of volunteers. We've got about 10 at present, and we, for example, tomorrow evening we have another developer team meeting, after which we're going to publish a detailed update out to the community on the channels. But the website is live, and that's a screenshot of it there. The token leasing contract coding as well is underway at present. And the various UX wireframes are also being completed and worked on by Steve Floyd of EOS Tribe. So it's not just individuals from the communities, it's also another block producer who's actually involved as part of the coding team there as well. So we have actually nailed down the launch functionality as well. And there's just a little shout out to the block producers that are also committed to supporting as well. I think actually as well I should just say that EOS Nation and EOS Dublin should be on that slide, so never mind. Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hey, lovely. Thanks very much. My name's Rob Allen. I'm part of the eosDAC launch team, and I now have my clicker. Right, so quick one. Who here actually has some EOS? Wonderful, wonderful. Right, so if you had it on April the 15th, you now have some eosDAC as well in your wallets. That's great. And it's wonderful to have you on board. Right, so I'm going to try and work out how this clicker works. Right, so it's the vision of eosDAC that block production shouldn't just be these 21 people, it should be open to everyone. It shouldn't just be an elite club. We want to involve everybody and get all the talent together. So we've set up this evolving, decentralized autonomous community. Now, that's something that isn't talked about a lot now, but it was talked a lot back in the early days of EOS. This is what EOS is all about, in my view. We can set up these decentralized communities which can do an awful lot better way of doing business than traditional organizations. So that's why we've set this up, because we're running it very much as an experiment, very much as a leading starting place for working out how these decentralized autonomous communities work. And we're going to try and focus on being a leading EOS block producer, and we've dropped 75% of the tokens to EOS distribution. Right, so what is a DAC? It's basically, it's just like a cooperative organization. Maybe it's got a few other features, but you start to use the blockchain technology to make everything radically open and transparent. All of a sudden, it's not just about trusting people. You can actually go and investigate what goes on with the organization that you're working with. We're going to launch eosDAC as a DAC on the EOS blockchain. On Ethereum, it just doesn't work. We see that from the DAO, from everything else. It's just not quick or efficient enough to run on Ethereum. On EOS, it will work, and we can start to run it as soon as the EOS chain launches with a minimum set of tools. We've been totally involved with the whole EOS community for the past 9 months. We've been active on all the community testnets. We've been trying to get technically involved on all aspects. So we're trying to make sure we know our stuff, and we're trying to bring on board as many people who know their stuff as possible. Right, so we've got some core principles. First off, we want to make sure that we continuously produce blocks quality provided for the EOS blockchains. Make sure that this chain is secure. We're going to be totally open and transparent about everything we do. We're going to support EOS communities worldwide. We want EOS to flourish, and we want it to grow as much as possible. We want everything to be fair. We don't want secrets. We want everyone to have open understanding of what is needed to make decisions. And we're not going to try and take over other things. We just want to stay independent. And even though some people say that this is buying votes, we don't think it is. We're never going to treat anyone differently. If you don't vote for us and you're a member, you still get what's coming to you. So how are we going to use the token rewards if we get in? We're going to support the EOS blockchain. We're going to invest heavily in the infrastructure. We're going to support the EOS community and sort of help the decentralized application developers. And then only once all that's done are we going to start looking at how it's distributed. And how it gets distributed, the profits, is going to be down to the token holders, not down to us. So I've got a why you vote for us, because we're in election mode. Basically, it's community owned. We think we're technically excellent, radically open and transparent, and very well resourced. We reckon people actually have a say. You can become part of a DAC. You can become a custodian of this DAC. There's nothing stopping that from happening. We're highly active in the EOS community. We're going to develop tools and share them totally open source with other DACs. And we really, I know there are members of the launch team who want to run their own DACs built on what we're building already. And we want the community to be involved in and active parts and benefit from EOS block production. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you very much indeed.
Hey everybody, my name is Sharif. I was standing at the back of the room there, and it felt like I was on The Apprentice, having to come up here and do a presentation, look for a job. I just hope I don't get fired. So as I said, I'm Sharif, and Sam, we make up the founding team of EOS Dublin. Isaac and Jessica are helping us with the marketing and positioning and storytelling. And last week, Benny Lee joined as a special advisor to help us try and tell our story into the Asian markets, which is a big challenge for all of the block producers. We've got 4 core values which hopefully translate well into all of the different languages, and they're clear and concise. We're completely independent, completely self-funded. We're honest, we say things as they are, as we see them. We're operating with a high level of integrity, and education is at the core of what we're doing. So always open to learning new things and then teaching what we learn. So there's a whole lot of chatter about what a block producer actually is. And to me, in our opening post, this is a quote that I used. JFK and NASA asked the janitor what he was doing there, and his answer was, I'm helping putting a man on the moon. And to me, that's what we're doing. We're just kind of trying to lay the foundation so great things on top can be built. And it's only those things on top that will create any value for all of you guys, you token holders. So, we've got to do the basics really well and let everything move on top of it. And what are we offering? What are we doing any different than any of the other great teams? We're operating out of a completely politically stable country. Within the next couple of years, we'll be the only native English-speaking country within the EU. Ireland has long had a strong voice on all sorts of issues, humanitarian, human rights, and we commit to being that strong voice within the community and for the community. And the last thing we offer is geographic spread. This is a blog post that I pushed out. Myself and Sam were working kind of midday, and it was obvious how kind of quiet the Telegram channels were. And we need a spread all across the globe. EOS is going to run 24/7 forever. And we need block producers to cover all of those time zones to offer that kind of resilience to the whole network. So I'm just going to pass you over to Sam, who's going to talk more about the technical approach.
Should have just stood over here in the first place. So I'm Sam. I will talk a bit about technology because that's all I know. That's all I know how to talk about. So here's a nice picture. Everyone likes pictures. I don't know if anyone understands this. This is the kind of basic approach we'll take to our infrastructure. The main takeaway from this is that the green bits are how we support the community, how we support the developers, giving them access to the blockchain. And the bit at the bottom in the red blocks, that's the kind of network that's operating underneath. So the point here is that those are completely separated. So this is part of the security through the infrastructure by creating a nice separation between those two so that the block producer network is very separated from the public-facing endpoints. And by running through an independent data center, we have better control over the traffic, which means it's much more secure, and then we balance that out to the rest of our nodes. The reason why we want to have two locations, and actually we're going to have 3 locations, is for that security. If one of these things goes down, we have something else in another location, and then another location again. So what does this look like in terms of the specifications? Well, we don't know. The platform isn't finished yet. We're still waiting for the final release. So there's a bit of a question mark. There's a lot of people working very hard to do performance profiling, to see what we're actually going to need. So what this translates to is that we need to be agile. In the beginning, we need to be ready for change, because whatever's going to come out now could change very quickly. So we put some numbers down and said, okay, this is what we're going to start with. A lot of CPUs, a lot of RAM, and make sure that we have the ability to scale very quickly. So that means in the beginning, we're going to start on the tertiary end, cloud-based. Everyone knows the cloud is very scalable. We can change things very quickly, very easily with no big long-term commitments, so we're not wasting money. Going forwards, primary and secondary locations are data centers based in Ireland, and then the last resort is the cloud. So if something goes completely wrong, we have that backup. Security is super important in all of this, obviously. So we're taking, separation between the physical access by using the data centers, the partners that we have there, to ensure that no one can gain access. On the network, principle of least privilege, similar to what the EOS42 guys are doing, we're working with an independent security advisor to do audits for us, which will be public information, because don't take our word for it, do it for them. And all of our data centers are fully compliant with pretty much any kind of compliance you can imagine. So now I hand back to Sharif to talk about Parachute.
Yeah, so we're just going to play a short video of the first app that we're releasing actually as an EOS Dublin project.
Airdropping tokens is a great way to distribute ownership of your app. But until now, there hasn't been a simple, efficient way for token holders to engage with your business. Introducing Parachute, the opt-in platform for airdrops on EOS. Because our members opt into your airdrop, we can provide you with key data for your upcoming distribution. Imagine easily being able to see where the users are located, what other projects they're supporting, what languages they speak, and how best to reach them. Better engagement, better ownership, better distribution. Oh, and for members who opt out, they can swap out their allocation for our Parachute tokens to engage with other projects. To learn more, visit www.parachute.zone.
So, hello everyone. I am Christian Lanes. I'm the co-founder and chief strategist of BitSpace. BitSpace is Norway's leading blockchain company. We've had a strong focus on Daniel Lammer's work ever since 2013, when he started thinking about creating a decentralized exchange, which was called BitShares. He later, of course, went on to create Steemit, and we have been active in all the delegated proof-of-stake chains. So my brother and I co-founded BitSpace, and we have now grown to become quite a large company with over 20 employees, and we still retain the same fundamental vision. Here is the meetup we did in January. It was the first EOS meetup in Scandinavia. It drew a lot of interest, and I think it was quite successful. And we've also done several events with BitShares and Steemit. I've been very active on the forums. I was one of the top posters on the BitShares forums, and I was one of the early promoters of Steemit as well. So it's quite amazing to stand here today and see that the vision that Daniel Larimer had back in 2013 has actually become reality, despite everyone trying to tear him apart back then because there were proof-of-work maximalists. So in terms of the technical aspects, we're going to have 2 or 3 different servers, one backup in the cloud and one backup in our office, and the primary server will be this Green Mountain server. And the reason we chose this is because, first of all, it's green, so it's environmentally friendly. In a recent poll, most people agree that one of the major problems with the crypto space is waste of electricity. And with EOS, we actually have the possibility to create a completely renewable blockchain ecosystem. This also makes us independent of the grid, which makes it more secure. Because it's located inside the mountain, it's also EMP and nuclear proof, so it's very secure. But despite of this, it has low latency to the rest of Europe, which is also an important aspect to consider. So we want to be very transparent with our technical approach. So this is not just stats for the block producer. It's also stats for how our server is doing in real time. You can check it out in this link. And we'll also help other block producers with this service if they want to implement such transparency. BitSpace was founded on the principle of individual sovereignty and voluntary association and political and financial freedom. And we're very aligned with the constitution in EOS, and we want to have these codes of conduct to be, So we are independent, we won't collude with the others, there will be no vote buying, we'll be honest and have integrity, and we'll execute the arbitrations that are decided, and of course legal compliance. We'll be proactive in establishing a framework for our block producers to be compliant. So we've done a lot of events. We did this hackathon in February. It was actually the first EOS hackathon in the world. We also did a hackathon a few days ago in Trondheim, and that was also very successful. We just came back from that. I've done some presentations just to explain the basics of EOS. On the left there is in the University of Oslo. On the right you can see me talking in front of business leaders and politicians in Norway. So we have quite a good foothold in the Scandinavian region. Finally, we also want to create this EOS hub, which is like an information, it serves really 3 purposes. The first is information. The second is that it will be a place for developers and the public to get educated on EOS. And finally, it will be a sort of incubator for EOS projects. So we already have several partner projects involved thinking of creating on EOS, and we also have seen that there's a lot of demand for mentors and people who can guide people who want to work on EOS, both traditional entrepreneurs and people who are more developers in the space. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Hi, this is Myra from EOS Gravity. I'm in charge of the overseas community operations. We have a great team and everyone is busy and working hard on making EOS ecosystem better. In the last couple of months, we have been traveling all over China to do different meetups. And we are planning to do a global meetup in the near futures. Thanks, David, your invitation, and I have always knew you did a lot for communicate between different VPs. And here I represent the Gravity team to say thank you to all of you and good luck to all of you. And next is Ocean, the founder of Gravity.
大家好，我是 Ocean， 来自 EOS 营地区。作为全球规模最大的 EOS 社群，我们每个月有大量的时间会花在 EOS 线下的 Meetup 上。我们已经在中国跑遍了10到15个城市了。那这次由于时间上的安排，没有办法到伦敦和大家一起谈论 EOS， 我们觉得特别遗憾。但是我觉得没有关系。我们自己在5月19号也会有一场全球的 EOS 社群的聚会，也希望 EOS 伦敦包括各位能来到我们的现场。那么5月份我们上海见吧，拜拜。
Hi, all members of EOS42 London Meetup and our EOSIO community. This is EOSYS, EOS Scan Builders, running as the first block producer candidate from Korea. It is a great honor to be greeting members of the EOS community outside of Korea as we are on our journey to support the successful launch of EOSIO, vitalizing the EOS ecosystem and beyond as a reliable EOS block producer here in Korea, where 34% of EOS transaction happens. EOSYS is committed to widespreading EOS and the value EOS sprouted from, securing life, liberty, property, and justice. And in long term, we want EOS value to be prevalent, and we dream of people using products, services built upon such value. And that is why we built EOS Scan last June, even before the EOS ICO ever began. Ever since its launch, thanks to EOS lovers and community, EOS Scan has become one of the favorite websites for EOS token holders. EOS Scan was just the beginning, and now we're preparing ourselves with a mission to not only build products, but to raise awareness of blockchain as technology, and thus have a number of initiatives expecting the EOS mainnet launch, such as our conversion of EOS Scan into a block explorer for EOS. And we will also launch EOS Wallet to support Chrome extension and iOS and Android. And we are happy to announce that we will have our EOSYS meetup on May 19th, Saturday in Seoul, Korea. And we welcome everyone outside of Korea to join us, meeting the Korean community and other block producer candidates. Please look forward to our activities, and thank you all EOSIO community worldwide. It was EOSYS, vitalizing the EOS ecosystem. Thank you very much.
EOS 生态的朋友们，大家好。我们是 EOS 节点的竞选者 OracleChain 团队，我是团队的 CEO 赵薇。我们是在北京的一个专注于区块链技术的一个研发的一个团队，参加了中国国家的区块链相关标准制定和积累了有39项的区块链发明专利。在过去的1年里，我们为 EOS 生态做了很多的一些尝试，包括为 EOS 生态提供的 Oracle 数据集预言服务和服务于 C 端用户的一个 eosDAC 平台，Pocket EOS。这2款产品的话，现在都已经对外发布了。同时，于近期我们还对社区贡献了一款开源工具，EOS Developer Helper， 是帮助普通的开发者可以更好在 EOS 生态上开发智能合约应用。同时，我们作为 EOS 节点的竞选者的话，也提出了一个倡议，可以用DAO这么一个概念的话，更好的管理节点的收益。我们也把自己这个智能合约的参考框架 EOS Blockchain Producer DAO 也贡献出来，供大家所参考。所以的话，我们是为这个生态做着很多建设，做着很多努力这么一个团队。所以的话，希望大家可以在未来的节点竞选过程中关注我们，为我们投出宝贵的一票。谢谢。